Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, where we look at the latest comics and other media featuring the Transformers. In this episode, the Transformers get the full spotlight in the Sacred Ring as we review Skybound's Void Rivals number 11. Today is Friday, July 26, 2024, and this is episode 400 of Transmissions Alt Mode.
Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, the podcast that knew it was a Transformers comic all along. I'm your host, Charles, aka Big C, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Char, aka Robo Apollo.
Hi, everyone.
The amazing and awesome producer and editor, Mike.
Hey, I am not a Transformers comic.
And Jeremy, aka Yakko.
Hey, how's it going? Happy 400th. Let's talk Transformers.
All right, and we again have our special guest for this week. It's Ben from CybFest Northwest. Thanks
Hello.
for joining us.
Thank you. Welcome. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, great to have you. And as everyone should check out Transmissions episode 600 for all the details on CybFest Northwest. But Ben is graciously hung out, stuck around to review some comics with us and talk a little bit about all the Transformers media news that's going on this week. So thanks for hanging out.
Absolutely.
All right. As always, we start off the show by thanking our Donatreons, those lovely people who support us on Patreon and PayPal. Thank you all so much for continuing to support the show. We really appreciate your contributions. And, of course, we don't want you to come away with nothing for contributing to the show. So we give you some bonus content for being a Donatron. That includes our bonus show, We Like Big Bots. That's done by Daryl and Dr. Pants, who are not here this week. So I can only assume they're off recording many more Big Bots episodes for our bonus shows.
Hundreds.
So check those out. We've got 13 episodes available on our Patreon page and one more coming soon and many more in the future, hopefully. We've also got our Transformers Live Play RPG podcast, Empire of Rust. That's done by Mike, who is here. And this week we had the bonus version of episode 120 that is The Secret of the Ooze. That's available right now for Donatrons, and the regular version of that episode will be available just this coming Monday, July 29th at transmissionspodcast.com/rust. So lots of cool stuff coming for Empire of Rust. Mike, anything else you want to tease while we got you here?
Of course I do. We're doing something with the Renegade Games RPG, and you'll have to wait a little while to see. I'm still in the middle of doing everything with that, but it's going to be a fun time. I think everyone's going to enjoy it.
Awesome. And we've still got copies of our exclusive Transformers #1 comic that we commissioned from Skybound with artwork by E.J. Sue, who did the cover for our comic. You can buy that right now at transmissionspodcast.com/comic, and we will ship that right out to you. And of course, we still are partnering with toyhacks.com to provide a 15% off promo code. For throughout the month of July, the promo code is BBQBots. So BBQBots will get you 15% off all your purchases at toyhacks.com. You use that code as many times as you want until July 31st. And you cannot combine it with any other promo codes, but you can use your Robo points with that code. So please use that early and often. All right. And of course, as I mentioned, we have Ben here from CybFest Northwest. We talked a lot about the show in Transmission 600, so check that out. But Ben, why don't you give us the elevator pitch for
All right.
CybFest Northwest?
All right. CybFest Northwest is a Transformer fan convention in just south of Seattle in Kent, Washington. Happens August 3rd. There is a ton of dealers. Sue Blue will be there in attendance. There is a bunch of contests, like a pub trivia game, transforming contests, lots of artists, like somebody that we might have here on the podcast. A kids play area, a Lego display, some person's showing off a bunch of custom Transformers. So lots of fun, lots of activities. You can find more information at www.cybfestnorthwest.com, which is CYBFESTNW.com.
Awesome. Yeah, so August 3rd, that's just so this episode is coming up on Friday, the July 26th. So it's actually just a week and a day before CybFest Northwest. So August 3rd coming very soon.
Yes, it's all becoming very real.
I have a lot to get done for this convention myself.
Yeah, so Shar is going to be there. She'll be doing fan commissions. So if you want some exclusive artwork from Shar, hit her up. All right. So let's get into the rest of Transmissions Alt Mode. Let's talk about some comics news. All right, starting off, we do have solicitations for upcoming Transformers comics. This is for October of this year. And these are Transformers number 13 and Void Rivals number 13 will both be out in October. These are going to be starting new story arcs in both series. So they've been doing 6-issue story arcs. We won't get into, we don't want to spoil anything. So we're not going to mention what's happening, but
there's new artists on Transformers with 13.
Oh yeah, I
Jason Howard who's been doing a bunch of the alternate covers, is now going to be doing the art.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't catch that. So
I was just waiting to see if you were going to mention it or if I wanted to jump in. Yeah.
No, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Jason Howard, that's interesting because he's been doing a lot of the kind of profile pic covers that have been heavily sought after by collectors, including Daryl on our show. He's been trying to get all the Jason Howard character covers. So I'm curious to see how his artwork is gonna look for the main title. So that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. His style seems a little bit different from both Daniel Warren Johnson and Jorge Corona. So I wonder how it's gonna mesh with the previous artists. So we'll see. And next, I did want to mention, so this news came last month, but we had a couple of hiatuses. We hadn't been doing regular shows, and this kind of slipped past, and it's G.I. Joe news. So Daryl was not interested in us talking about this, so I'm slipping it in while he's not here. But yeah, finally Skybound has announced a G.I. Joe series. So they've been doing several mini-series to introduce the G.I. Joe characters into the Energon universe. We started with Duke and Cobra Commander. We currently have Scarlet and Destro. And now this fall in November, G.I. Joe #1 is going to debut. And finally, both G.I. Joe and Cobra teams are coalescing in the Energon universe in the aftermath of the Transformers' arrival on Earth. If you haven't been following the character comics, I mean, they're setting up the world where basically G.I. Joe is formed as a response to the Transformers coming to Earth. They don't actually really know anything about the Transformers. They just think they're alien invaders, so they don't really know that there's Autobots and Decepticons or anything else. And Cobra, through some series of events, have acquired basically Energon to power their technology. So that's how they're becoming a force in the world. So Cobra, using Energon technology to create all the crazy weapons and machines they had that you remember from the 80s. that's going to come directly into conflict with G.I. Joe, because of course, Cobra wants to take over the world like any good terrorist organization wants to do. So these will be in, of course, it's a shared universe. So I imagine Transformers and G.I. Joe this will probably be building to some kind of crossover, probably maybe in 2025 or even 2026. We don't know how far in the future that's going to be, but we know there's going to be some kind of crossover clash between all these factions at some point in the future. So, this is the start of that. And of course, if you're more interested in just the Transformers and you don't want to continue with the G.I. Joe comics, that's probably fine. And I don't know if we may or may not be reviewing the G.I. Joe series when it starts. I think Daryl probably doesn't want us to, but we'll see. Also, as part of the marketing for this new G.I. Joe comic, you can actually get your picture into the ads for the G.I. Joe comic when it comes out. So basically, you sign up for Skybound's newsletter. You become a Skybound insider. It's just their newsletter campaign where you just sign up for a free account for Skybound. Then you submit a picture of yourself according to their guidelines, and they will feature your picture in their ads. You have to choose your side. You choose whether you want to be G.I. Joe or Cobra, and then they feature your picture in an upcoming comic ad for the book. So you won't be in artwork for the actual story, but they're going to be running ads for G.I. Joe in their Skybound comics, and they say in the text of this announcement, they say for every picture they submit that meets their guidelines, it will be in these ads until they run out of pictures. So you have until, I believe, September 8th to submit your picture, and you are basically guaranteed, if you follow all the instructions, you're guaranteed to get your picture in one of these ads and have your picture in their comic at some point. So I think that's a cool promotion. I mean, I think it's interesting. They are definitely really wanting to drive up support for G.I. Joe. I think, as a Transformers fan, it irks me a little bit that the universe is called the Energon universe and it's supposed to be Transformers, and they're putting a lot of marketing emphasis on G.I. Joe. But on the other hand, I think G.I. Joe needs the help where Transformers doesn't really need the help. So
Transformers has been setting sales records just on its own.
Yeah. So I think that's probably why there's a big marketing push for G.I. Joe, just because it probably needs more visibility and support, where Transformers has already kind of established that and is getting already all that popularity. So I mean, I'm not mad at getting having a resurgence for G.I. Joe. So we'll look forward to that.
They're asking very important question: are you a G.I. Joe or Cobra? What are you, Charles?
Yeah. Well, I think I usually side with the good guys, so I'll be boring and say I'm going with G.I. Joe. So yeah. Maybe everyone. Shar, you asked me, so I'm going to ask you. What are you siding with?
In this case, I am a G.I. Joe. So
all right.
Yeah.
Ben, how about you?
I will go with Joe as well.
All right. Mike?
I'm going to buck the trend on this one, knowing that no matter how dumb I am, I'm still going to improve Cobra's chances.
And Jeremy, what about you?
Yo, Joe.
All right, Mike, you're outnumbered here. You gotta get some resources to help you out here.
You gotta ask Daryl next time.
both Daryl and Scott. Hopefully, I can get some help here
Daryl would
Yeah.
probably decline to answer.
Yeah.
on principle.
Yeah.
All right, well that's all our comics news. So let's jump into our comic review.
All right, so we're reviewing Void Rivals number 11 this week. This was written by Robert Kirkman, arts by Lorenzo Di Felici, colors by Patricio Del Pesce, letters by Russ Wooten, editors Ben Abernathy. And as always, I apologize for butchering any of those names because I likely did. So the summary. Facing an army of soldiers and tanks, Springer tells Darak and Celia to stay behind him so he can take the brunt of the attacks. Seeing the giant figure, some of the soldiers start getting scared and talk about fleeing. However, their commander hears this and says that he'll take them out himself if they run, then orders them to attack. Facing the incoming fire, Springer tells the two organics to grab onto him as he transforms into his helicopter form to get some space between the army and themselves. Unfortunately, with the gravity on the ring, he can't maintain the flight, and he has to land. Celia decides to take action for herself, and she drops down before he lands. As Springer and Derek join her on the ground, she warns them to try not to hurt the soldiers. They're just being used by the Zertonian leadership. As Derek is about to get taken out by a tank, Springer runs over and kicks it. Derek then gets an idea and runs off. Springer thinks he's a coward, but Celia says he's many things, but he's not a coward. Derek had gone to where his old mech was, and he was able to get it barely functional. He helps turn the tide before it shuts down for good, and with that help, the Zertonians started fleeing. However, before they all got away, Derek has an idea. He had Springer grab one of the soldiers and ask Springer to explain everything that they've learned about the Energon to him. Their people are starving, and he sees it as a way to finally do the right thing. Celia asks why he's doing something to help her people, but he said after seeing each other without helmets, he sees them all as one people now. He just wants to save lives. Springer returns from the lab, and the Zertonian flees with a data drive that has all of the information about Energon that they could use. Even if the soldier himself doesn't understand it, some scientists should. On the planet Char, Skuxoid is meeting with the alien Bosch about another job. Skuxoid feels like someone is spying on them, but he doesn't see it. He doesn't see anybody. He's suspicious though, but Bosch says that no one ever goes to Char unless they have to. Skuxoid then asks about what he needs to steal, but they were right to be worried because they were being watched by a mysterious mechanical being. On Quintessa, the Quintessons are discussing the ramifications of the unspoken one, Zerta Prime, and whether she did steal the technology that she was rumored to have taken. If they found where she took it, they would profit greatly. But one of the group that has joined via hologram from a ship knows that they're looking in the right sector, and that the others just need to have some faith. Soon after, they're alerted about an unknown vessel approaching, and the Quintesson ship is cloaked. On this other vessel, Hot Rod is sparring with an automated robot opponent. He's worried about the aggression level on the robot as it seems to be winning. But then an alert goes off and he calls for the session to be suspended. Checking the computer, he found out that the Skuxoid information was correct. He's in the right system, but he just needs to track the energy signature from the Nebulon transport that Skuxoid gave to Dirac and Celia. Finding the signature, Hot Rod sets course and flies away. Seeing the ship suddenly arrive then leave, the Quintessons order their ship to follow. Back on the Sacred Ring, the army is leaving, and they've picked up a stowaway. A one-armed Proximus rises from under the ground to grab onto a tank. While back in Springer's lab, Derek reveals that he's the creature that Springer took to the Agorian border all those years ago and asks if he can take them there again. Springer is surprised that it was him, and Derek said that he didn't believe his memories himself as he was half dead at the time, but seeing Jetfire changed everything. Springer wants to know more about that encounter with Jetfire on their trip, and Derek also wants one of the data pads for his people to learn about Energon as well. While they're waiting for Springer to get the data, Derek asks Celia about the glowing key that she has. She immediately aims her energy spear at him, then quickly backs down as she remembers her vision. She then tells Derek that this is where they have to part ways. To be continued. So I thought this was a pretty good issue. This is one, I think last issue I enjoyed a lot more, but this one I still thought was pretty good. The art I thought was okay. And the hot rod scene in particular I thought was fun, seeing the whole sword fighting or like lightsaber fighting thing that he did in the movie, kind of homage to that. But I get the feeling that next issue we're going to get to see Hot Rod finally make it to the Sacred Ring. On the Char scene, I thought that Bosch looked familiar. I had to find him on the TF Wiki. He was in like one season 3 episode, but it seems like Robert Kirkman really likes season 3 of the animated series. But I do like filling in the universe with all these various alien species. I didn't really recognize the character that was spying on him, but maybe Charles, you know.
I think that's an original character. That is the same character from the Energon Universe Free Comic Book Day special.
Okay,
so
I'd forgotten about that.
That was the same. Yeah, he's been spying, and he's been referring to some mysterious master in that issue as well. So we don't know who the master is, and we don't know if that's a robot or if that's a guy in a suit or what. I mean, it could be a guy with a helmet on, or it could be another robot. It can't really tell.
Or a robot in a suit.
It could be a robot in a robot suit.
Could be that. Yeah. Also, one correction: Bosch is from a season 2 episode. He's at the episode where they gambled. They went to that planet and that was also the episode that featured DevCon and Slizardo. Okay. So that was that was his one appearance.
In my mind, I think space episodes were all season 3. I forgot about that. But anyway, I thought it was a decent issue, not spectacular, but I'm still really enjoying Void Rivals. I like adding to the lore the whole link to Energon that the species has, and interested to see what'll happen when the word about Energon comes back to the two factions, and obviously the higher ups are going to try to squash that knowledge. So we'll see what happens there. But all in all, it was a fun issue, and I'm looking forward to the next issue when hopefully we get Hot Rod and Springer meeting back up again. So Ben, let's start with you. You had not read any Void Rivals before coming on here, and we told you that you had homework.
Yeah.
So, what was your thought, like, overall, and then this issue?
So since I haven't read any comics, I haven't even been following it that much. So I had no preconceived ideas of what Void Rivals was, where it was going, how it was going to feature things. So for me, starting from, page 1 of issue 1, literally today, and going through issue 11, and just enjoying the slow reveal of the Transformers, and kind of like the conspiracies going on the Ring Planet. It was interesting to see which characters they chose to bring in, Jetfire, and then Springer, and then starting to see like the Quintessons, and seeing the Suxoid was a great surprise. I do like I like this issue a lot. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. It did not feel like homework. It felt very enjoyable. I like kind of the mix of kind of like a cinematic action scenes, as well as the drama and slow reveals and teases of a wider story that happened throughout this issue 11, as well as kind of the comedy, the mech that he gets into and tries to stop the tank, and then it just kind of falls. And he's like, "Crap." Yeah, I've been enjoying it. I'm kind of with you. Like, Kirkman seems to have an appreciation of movie to season 3 stuff. It seems a lot of it is inspired. I mean, even the fact that it's like very space oriented and stuff. But I think once we get more of the G.I. Joe stuff, we'll see a lot more Earth stuff as well.
Well, the main Transformers series is handling the Earth side of things.
Yeah, and I need to catch up on that too. So, I'm enjoying it. So, and I'm assuming they're going to start doing some crossover stuff, and we'll see Springer on Earth at some point. And a lot of double crosses, and you think they're going to finally get along, and then she betrays him again, and then they're getting along, and then she betrays it. So it's a lot of back and forth on that. I'm not seeing as much like linear character development. It seems like a little bit of a jagged, like back and forth, her 2 steps forward, 1 step back type of development. But I'm liking the characters. I'm liking the relationship. I feel invested at this point. I'm like, oh, I don't want them to split ways yet. I want to see them actually become friends. Even though he seems more willing to be friends, and she's like, no, we're just not enemies. And I like that. That
she's got trust issues.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Mike, you also aren't really familiar with a lot of the Void Rivals stuff. And I think you've basically only read this issue. So what did you think?
Yeah, so the last one I read was issue 3, maybe 4. So I was very confused as to what was going on. I listened to, I've been listening to the reviews that you guys have been doing, but I don't know, like in the end, like the information just isn't sticking. So it's been a bit confusing. So I'll say that Springer's characterization is okay. He feels like a very kind, helpful person. Like, he doesn't really feel like a badass. So definitely a departure from what I'm used to with IDW. Not a bad departure at all, but it feels like he's lost, again, edge that he had. That he had in previous continuities.
It's more just what you see in the cartoon.
Yeah, I've kind of gotten that. Even like Hot Rod's characterization there too. Like, it feels very much like, exactly like you said. Like he's drawing a lot of the characterization from the cartoon, and not necessarily opposed to it, especially for characters that are not kind of like the main crux of the story. So overall it was a good read. Again, just the confusion and the lack of understanding of like how they got to this point is making it hard to get invested.
I'm kind of curious, does it make you want to go back and read previous issues to kind of catch up and see how they got to that point?
I wish I had read 10, because I feel like there was a lot of information in there that I was just missing. Do I really? I don't think I really want to go back and read it from the beginning.
I would say 9 and 10, probably.
9 and 10?
I think 9 is where they find Springer. Is that right, Charles?
Yeah, I believe that's right. And then also the Energon Universe special that has that one little short story that ties directly into this issue.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't really, like, it hasn't grabbed me enough to want to track down and read the rest of it. But I can see myself at least reading issues 9 and 10 to kind of get the story of what happened here, because I'm kind of interested in what's going on with Springer. Because, like I said, he seems like this very helpful person. And that's just it's kind of an interesting take that I haven't really seen lately.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Char, what'd you think?
So, I really liked this issue a lot. I'd been a few issues behind on Void Rivals, and I had a big stack of comics to read. I did with Transformers too, so I'm all caught up on everything: Transformers, GI Joe, the special, and yeah, I'm really enjoying this story. Enjoying it more with the Transformer characters in it. Springer, yeah, he seems like a really nice guy. Seeing Hot Rod made me very excited. I was like, oh, cool. So that made me really happy. And learning, and I thought this is a pretty good issue. Like, I think now the story is really picking up. I think we had a lot of world building to establish in the previous issues. And, I think, yeah, since issue 9, the one where Springer showed up, like, a lot of stuff's happened. So, I think we're at a point where there's going to be even more, the plot's going to move forward more. We don't need to do as much of the world building that was done before. So, and that's what makes this very different from the Transformers comic, is that they didn't need to do as much world building because these are established characters, and we already have, most of us who are fans, because I'm sure there are going to be brand new people. This is their first introduction for Transformers, even with Void Rivals, but like, many of us are reading this because we knew Transformers characters were going to be in here. So, when we see Springer or Jetfire or, Hot Rod, we're like, oh, cool, so, and even like the Planet Char, like, it's like all these little things in the Quintessons that we know about already, and have our own backgrounds based off of those characters and places, but there are people who are reading this for the first time who don't have any of that. So I'm excited to see what happens next for this. I think the artwork's okay. Like, I think they do a good job of drawing the humans, or not the humans, the alien people, the Zertonians, and then I forget what the other
Agorians.
Agorians, yeah. But in the Transformers, I think they do. You can tell who they are. It is very hard to draw robots as someone who draws them, so I think they do a good job with it. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on it. I'm looking forward to reading issue 12. So, yeah.
Nice. And Charles, wrap it up with your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, these last few issues have really been picking up the pace with Void Rivals. I mean, I was a little bit since the end of the first story arc. Since we've been reading these month to month, I was a little bit. The pace had been a little bit too slow for me, and I wasn't sure where things were going. But now that we're getting a little bit more, like, all the threads are tying together now, we're seeing a little bit more, of how things are going. And I like this issue in particular for showing us, what was going on with the Quintessons, how we see Hot Rod's story, like Hot Rod getting introduced in the Energon Universe special. I wondered how long it was going to take for him to show up in Void Rivals, or where that was going. And I'm happy to see that it only took a couple more issues for him to come into the story. So I was glad to see that here. Of course, I'm happy to see the Transformers the movie reference. That's always nice to give us a Transformers the movie reference. I'm happy to see the Quintessons being more active here, and yeah, we still got some mysteries that I'm interested about. This robot in a robot, or human in a robot in a robot suit, or human in a robot suit, or just a robot. We don't know what it is, who this guy is, who this guy's master is, that he, she, it is, or they are working for. It's That's a nice little tease there. And the main story with Springer and the two rivals is picking up as well. I like that we've introduced the idea that these people are kind of half organic, or like some part organic, but also some part Cybertronian with this Energon port on their heads. So I'm curious what that means for what their origin was and what their relationship is to Cybertronians and to Quintessons, because there is apparently some relationship to the Quintessons too. So I think things were being threaded together nicely in this issue. The artwork, the artwork is okay. I think the Transformers book does a better job with the bots in general. These bots are a little bit, they're not as detailed as I would like to see for the artwork. But I still think it's good. There was nothing that I thought was really, bad or not, not polished or whatever. I like that. I like all the Quintessons as well. Like we see different versions of Quintessons. We see a Quintesson scientist. We see the on the ship. We see the regular just the 5-faced Quintessons as well. We see their corkscrew ship. So we get a look at lots of different Transformers characters here. Of course, the Skuxoid has been around for a while. So I was happy that this issue was picking up the pace and giving us a lot more Transformers tie-ins here, and so that makes me interested to see where we're going. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing a Hot Rod Springer team up next issue. So, So I think this is good, and I'm hopeful for where this is going with Void Rivals.
Cool. Well, that is it for the comic review this week.
All right, and we will continue with some media news.
This week in media news, we have a collaboration between Transformers and Duel Masters. Yes, the Duel Masters card game. Apparently, it is still big in Japan. And Transformers is having a collaboration with them with a Bumblebee and Optimus Prime card. It actually looks like it is for the app rather than actual physical cards, at least if the comments are any indication. I don't have a confirmation on that, though. But yeah, so we got some cards we have two cards, Prime and Bumblebee. The Prime card features some G1 toy photography for its artwork, and the Bumblebee has what looks like the missing Link toy figure.
Maybe, yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. I believe Duel Masters, is that the same, like that's the Yu-Gi-Oh card game? Is that the same thing?
I can't say for certain, but I don't believe it is. I'm pretty certain Duel Masters is its own separate card game. Kind of a I don't want to really say this, but it's kind of like a light version of Magic. Like a lot of the same concepts are there, but it's just not,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't have a ton of experience with Duel Masters, so I really can't answer. I can't answer anything really intelligently on that one. But I'm pretty certain that they are a separate card game.
Okay.
But yeah, they're having it is a Japanese only one, our Japanese only collaboration. So if you are playing it and you play in Japan, then you can see these cards. If not, then you probably won't. Moving on to other video game news, we get another collaboration between Transformers and Overwatch. And I think the big news on this one is not just the characters in this, but the incredible animation for the announcement trailer that they had. It is some really, really beautiful footage. 2D animated artwork that is just amazing. What they're doing is they're giving 4 characters some new skins. Let's see. It is Reinhardt, Reinhardt, Ramatra, Ilari, and Bastion, all given different Transformer skins. So Optimus Prime is Reinhardt, Megatron is Ramatra, RC is Ilaria, and Bumblebee is Bastion. Now, because these are just reskins of existing characters, there is no transformation with the exception of Bastion. I believe he actually has an in-game transformation ability that allows him to kind of mimic the there it is, the Volkswagen Beetle for Bumblebee. But for the most part, again, these are straight reskins of characters. And related to that, we have an interview with the site Comic Book with the Overwatch team, who talks about some of the ideas that just didn't make the cut. They're going to have Starscream, Soundwave, and Unicron in these various characters. Farah, Lucio,
hamster was going to be Unicron.
yeah, Wrecking Ball. Great name for that character. But yeah, so if you're a big Overwatch fan, these are going to be some I think pretty neat skins for the game. From what I understand, though, it is going to be fairly expensive. I think it's like almost the cost of the full game itself to get all of these skins. So you will have to make the decision as to whether or not that is relevant for your gaming lifestyle. But as I said, I think the big news for this one is the trailer they had for it. I don't know the studio that did it, but it is very much like a Studio Ox kind of style. Beautifully animated. And I've seen a lot of people online asking, like, why can't we get it like an animated series that looks like this? It's like, I can't disagree with that. It does look really amazing. So yeah, check it out. If you're playing Overwatch and you got some spare cash lying around, go ahead and get some skins and yeah, play Transformers in Overwatch.
All right, so in more media news, we have some images from Transformers Earthspark of Quintessons Prime. So we're looking at concept artwork of them. So we're going through that right now. There's sketches of his ship, sketches of early ideas. There are also some screenshots as well. And these were shared by the Earthspark art co-director Jeremiah Jose. So, it's very exciting. I love seeing this behind-the-scenes stuff. Very cool. If you haven't checked out Earthspark Season 2, go and do that. Yeah. So next we've got some Transformers G1 cartoon, The Secret of Omega Supreme storyboard. This is now available online. So this is courtesy of the Sunbow and Marvel Scripts storyboard archive. So you can now check out the storyboards for the original G1 episode of The Secret of Omega Supreme. So, and we want to thank storyboard artist, producer, and director Larry Houston for saving this material, because it most likely would have been destroyed back in the 1980s, and also Rich Heischer for making it available for the Sunbow Marvel Archive. We have a link. There's a link that you can go and check that out. Very exciting. It's more behind the scenes stuff. I love seeing this type of stuff. So, yeah, very cool. That's for the archive.
Is this the same Larry Houston who was the showrunner on the X-Men 90s cartoon?
Ooh, that is a good question.
That's a question you should ask yourself.
Yeah. I'd have to look into that more, but that is a very good question. The name is very familiar.
I think the chances are very likely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's two animation directors named Larry Houston in the 80s and 90s, but maybe there is. But But I just I always find that really interesting because Larry Houston did he basically did the Pride of the X-Men cartoon in the late 80s. That was the failed pilot for the first X-Men cartoon, and then he went on to be the showrunner for the 5 seasons of the 90s X-Men cartoon that, of course we have a resurgence now with X-Men 97. And
it
they
was
actually
the same one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's cool. Another Transformers connection.
He also
from,
did the intro for the G.I. Joe the movie, which arguably is the best part of the movie.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, so in more media news, we have a Transformers 1 official sneak peek from the Kids' Choice Awards for 2024. So Nickelodeon, their YouTube account, they have posted this trailer for Transformers 1. And it's for their Kids' Choice Awards. And it's an extended clip from the first transformation scene of Optimus Prime / Orion Pax, Megatron, Bumblebee, and Alita 1. So there's the trailer. I have not watched this trailer. I'd be very curious to see what is in it. So, yeah, getting excited though about Transformers 1. It's coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, I haven't watched this either, so we've got more homework.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm at the point where I don't really want to. Like, I'll watch the next big trailer, but that'll be it.
Yeah. All right. So now, speaking of, let's see. We have we can share a new Transformers 1 TV spot. And it gives us a clear look at the main characters, Optimus Prime, Megatron, Bumblebee, and Alita 1, with some extra footage and a transformation sequence. We're looking at a picture. We actually get to see Orion Pax as Optimus Prime. So that's really cool. Here's the homework. There's there's a TV spot to watch. So I've not seen this as well. So, so continuing on with that, we have a new TV spot featuring Chris Hemsworth for Transformers 1. He talks about his role as the voice of Orion Pax and his way into becoming Optimus Prime. And there's also more new footage from Transformers 1. So there's another clip for you to watch if you want to watch a bunch of clips before the movie. I think at this point I just want to watch the movie because sometimes these trailers can have spoilers, but it's also fun to watch these too. So I like any sort of behind the scenes stuff, which just seems to be talking about a little bit. There's a lot more Transformers 1 news, so we will continue with this. So we have from the official Paramount Mexico Instagram, they have announced a special Transformers 1 fan event, advanced screening. And according to this Instagram post, fans just have to share a new public post on their Instagram feed using the hashtag Hero Veterans Wait, I'm gonna butcher this. Like I can't. It's all like the words are together.
It's Quiero ver Transformers Uno.
Yeah,
That's
Quiero
I want to see Transformers 1.
Okay. Thank you for correcting me on that. It's been a long time since I took Spanish, and I recognize Quiero as being like, and I'm like, wait a second, like what? That is the correct hashtag for that. You either have to have images from previous Transformers premieres, toy collecting, or cosplay until July 7th. Well, this actually expired July 17th.
Oh.
Anyways, 15 winners will be randomly selected for a special advanced screening on July 24th in Mexico City. But this is cool. I like seeing the poster. It just says Transformers Uno. That's That's really cool. I'm glad they're doing this kind of stuff with the advanced screenings. It's really, and that's worldwide. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we I forgot to put this in the show notes, but I also saw that there was an advanced screening in the UK because the Triple Takeover podcast got to go to that advanced screening, and I think they actually got to talk to the director Josh Cooley while they were there. So if you go to the Triple Takeover podcast, they I believe have their initial thoughts on Transformers One, which yeah, it just makes me a bit jealous that everyone's getting these advanced screenings that we're like 2 months away from the movie actually getting a wide release, and everyone's getting to see it early. So, where's my advanced screening?
I mean, maybe it sounds like Ben might have some advanced screenings. But I think you have to go to the Seattle for that.
Yeah, but it's usually like the week before it comes out and it's like the press screening for Seattle.
Yeah.
And I think pretty much every major city has these press screenings.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to Transformers 1 too. So yeah, it's cool to see that all the promos coming out, and hopefully this gets support and people enjoy it. So
I'm excited.
All right, well that's all our media news, and we'll finish up the show with some convention news.
All right. Only one thing in convention news this week, and it's a big one. TFCon Baltimore has announced that Peter Cullen is going to be appearing Saturday and Sunday. More information, I'm sure, will come regarding prices and everything, but nice to see him back at a TFCon, and I think the way they do it is like a machine now. Basically, you pay the ticket, you wait in line at your time, hand them the thing, you get like maybe 10-15 seconds to say something, and he signs it, and that's it. But regardless, it's awesome that he's going to be there. And then I don't have it on here, but I did see on Facebook that I think he's going to be at Steel City Con coming up sometime, Charles, so you might want to keep an eye on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw something in a Facebook group, and they had a screenshot of the Steel City Con thing saying I think he's going to be there this fall. So keep an eye on that, and if it's confirmed, then maybe you can go and see him there.
I will report back. I mean, So
that's your local con.
Yeah, that's my local. Basically, that's the Pittsburgh area con, and it's in a suburb of Pittsburgh, and it's like literally next to the local mall I go to, which is like 15 minutes from my house. So it's very close to me. But I imagine the price for an autograph for Peter Cullen will be the same prices that.
I get the impression that at these more general purpose conventions, you get more time with them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Because he's just one of a number of high profile guests, whereas at this, he is the high profile guest.
Right. Yeah, and Peter Cullen. TFCon has had Peter Cullen several times, like in the last few years. They just had both Peter Cullen and Frank Welker at TFCon LA this year in March, and he's coming back again in Baltimore this November. So he's doing double duty on the TFCons this year.
Yeah, I'm hoping I get to go to Baltimore, and I would like to maybe try to do the Peter Cullen ticket, because it'll be 20 years since I first met him at BotCon 2004.
Wow.
So,
I'm sure he'll remember you.
Well, I did just find the picture when we were doing the cleaning, and I don't really recognize me. So anyway, he's a great guy, and the most friendly person you would ever meet.
All right. Well, I think that is all we've got for this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode. Thanks everyone for watching and listening. Thanks again to our guests, Ben from CybFest Northwest. Thanks again for hanging out with us. Want to remind everyone again about CybFest Northwest.
Yep, go to www.cybfestnorthwest.com for more information. So, good time. Thank you very much for having me on. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks so much for hanging out with us all week. And yeah, definitely check out CybFest Northwest. It'll be this after the Saturday after this one. So Saturday, August 3rd. You've got about a week until it is in the Pacific Northwest. So if you're in that area and you're interested in going, definitely check it out. And Char, thanks again for hanging out with us this week. And why don't you tell everyone where they can find your stuff online? And of course, you will be at CybFest Northwest.
Yeah, thanks. No, I'm glad to be back on. It'd been too long. So you can find me on the internet at RoboApollo on the site formerly known as Twitter and also Instagram. I refuse to call it by its new name. But I'm going to be at the amazing CybFest Northwest. It's a really cool convention. It's my third time going. I have a table there. I'm going to be selling artwork, including some new prints. Also doing commissions, just sketch card commissions. I have the information posted on my social media accounts. But it's a really great convention. And definitely check it out if you're in the area. So Pacific Northwest, it's worth it.
Awesome. And Mike, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you online and where they can find Empire of Rust?
Well, Empire of Rust you can find wherever you find a podcast that you're listening to right now. In fact, it's in your feed right now. But we're going to be doing some stuff with the Renegade RPG in a few, so keep an eye open for that. Once I get on to finishing up and planning and doing everything with it, it'll be really fun. And it'll be really cool time. You can give me a follow at Minervion, Minervion, if you're interested. Other than that, keep on listening to Transmissions.
All right. Yes, and go to transmissionspodcast.com for all our stuff. That includes Empire of Rust, transmissionspodcast.com/Rust. You can go directly to Empire of Rust, but all our podcasts at transmissionspodcast.com. If you want to go to our Discord server, we've got a Discord server where you can chat with other Transformers fans. That's at transmissionspodcast.com/Discord. It's a fun place to hang out, and you can, just talk with us, chat with all other fans, and chat about anything. So that's it. Thanks, everyone, for watching and listening. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye, all.
Later.
Yeah, later.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Transmissions. If you'd like to join the conversation, travel to our Discord channel at transmissionspodcast.com/Discord. Want some cool transmission swag? Feast your eyes on our transmissions gear at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. If you'd like to support our podcast, go to transmissionspodcast.com/support or tell your friends about our show. We'll see you next time.